How do you meet someone and press their bum bum like it's bread in Safeway, and you tell me that you're not attracted to them? Oh my god, the way he was smiling, I was like, can a man smile at me like that? Because I will lose my senses. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm just going to be reviewing slash kind of sort of reacting to the Love is Blind season 2 reunion. Guess what? I've tried to record this video before.
This show,
it's not your... It's nobody's talking to you, for goodness sake. It's not your turn. Shut up. Even the Kyle that they dated is not talking. Shut up. Yeah. And I feel like it was a lot more genuine the first time, but then copyright issues with like me having the video playing and everything, so I'm just like, let me just avoid all that and just record only me speaking, which is kind of worse, but I mean, what can you do on these YouTube streets? Nothing. So let's get started. I'm gonna start with Shayne, Natalie and Shayna because it was a whole love triangle situation going on there, so I'm just gonna start off with talking about them. So first of all, there was a part in the season where Shayne was like, oh, I was hoping it was Shayna, and I think the host Nick Lakey, is it Lakey, whatever, like addressed that with Shayne. I was like, you gaslighted her and everything, and yeah, he did. And I was just like, this guy is not even serious at all, because I also felt like he really badly handled the situation with him and Natalie and Shayna, because I felt like he could have been upfront about how he felt about both of them to both of them, given that the show is not an easy situation to be in, it's not an easy place to be, but given that that was already in place, I feel like he could have handled that better and like told both of them how he felt about them. And I think him saying that I was hoping it was Shayna was just disrespectful, and I feel like he had more of a very flirtatious relationship with Shayna rather than his, like, I guess, deeper conversations with Natalie. And then Shayna in the reunion says that she was trying to be respectful of their relationship. Respectful where? Which place? What time? Because I don't recall a time where she was like respectful of it. She went back to Shayne in the pods and kept like saying things. She's like, oh, so I heard what happened with you and Natalie. You guys are official now. Like, she kept going back to him with information and presenting it in a way where Natalie didn't say it like that to them in their room, right? So I'm just like, what do you mean respectful? And then the whole like Mexico scene where she was like on the beach and she was talking to Shayne and she was literally berating Natalie's character, like just like, oh yeah, time will tell, you guys won't work out, oh this and that, blah blah blah. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? What's your problem? Right? And I did like that Shayne called her out, like on the part where she was like trying to set Natalie up with one of her other friends. I did like that Shayne called her out, but I feel like in general the show did not address Shayna's toxic nature at all. And sorry, I mean the reunion did not address her toxic nature at all. It felt like she didn't do anything wrong, and which she did. She definitely did do something wrong, right? And I can't tell if that's a function of like Sheikh, I mean the Indian guy, like continuously like interrupting, so maybe they didn't get to what she did wrong. Maybe it was a situation where he was just the worst person, like the bottom of the barrel character on the show, and they didn't address anything that Shayna did because she was not, I guess, as bad as him, if that makes sense. But yeah, I was just like, no, you guys didn't do well in addressing Shayna's misbehavior. Also, I feel like Shayne and Natalie were very different people. I feel like Natalie was just kind of person that was used to being picky with like men, like she's just like, okay, logically this doesn't make sense, so I'm not going to follow, I'm not going to pursue this relationship. But then with Shayne, I feel like she was just like, you know what, let me try something different. And honestly, it did not work out for her. It really didn't. Like, I didn't see them working out. Like, I just didn't see them. When everyone on the show was like, oh, these guys are so good, I'm like, no, they are not, okay? And he was he was such a gaslighter. I feel like even the dinner they had in Mexico, like, I was like, where did this come from? Was Natalie annoying? Yeah, kind of, because sometimes I kind of understood what he meant, because you don't want someone that's going to be like joking all the time when you're trying to like talk to them about something. But the way their conversations would escalate, I'm like, Baba, it's not that serious. So like, you can talk about this and say, okay, you're kind of annoying me, without like going all the way and like, I'm done. Like, the amount of times I heard them say they're done, I'm like, this is not gonna end in marriage. Yeah. And then I felt like he was a bit immature, especially in the way he would like I said, handle situations and have conversations. Like, you don't just escalate to there, right? So I felt like they just wouldn't work out. I feel like Natalie definitely like settled for Shayne, and there was a big disconnect in like maturity levels in that. I'm looking at my phone to see if I missed anything. Okay, since we're on the topic of Shaina, let's move on to Shaina and Kyle. First of all, honestly, as a Christian, I hated that Shaina's character was represented as a Christian, because I'm just like, this is not what we do. I'm sorry, but like, I know like as Christians we're imperfect human beings, definitely imperfect human beings, but I'm just like, this is not what we do, okay? I'm sorry, we try better than this. So yeah, the representation of like Christianity, sorry please, that's not what Christianity is, in case anybody was wondering. I'm just saying, like, I'm just putting it out there. And also I think it was just so problematic, because she knew that from the beginning, from the proposal, from the conversations, that a relationship with an atheist wouldn't work for her. She knew, but then she still said yes to the proposal, and she said she was manipulated and things like that. And I'm just like, no girl, you could have said no. And I do understand like how, I don't know, I think they did address this on the reunion, at how like Kyle was still looking to go forward with the relationship, even though Shaina had expressed her like reservations about it, right? But I think that is the kind of thing that you stand your ground with, and you don't say yes to a proposal then start to back out from. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, she could have just said no in the first place, right? Even if he had said, okay, this is my mother's engagement ring, I feel like the way I was seeing Kyle, like if she had said no to him, he would have been all right. Like, he would have been upset at first, which is fine, but he would have been all right eventually. And I just feel like it was such a waste of time and waste of everyone's energy. And then, oh, I even forgot this part with Shaina and Shayne. She goes back to tell Shayne about feelings that she has for him after Kyle proposed to her and she said yes. Make it make sense. I need somebody to make it make sense. It doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, so I'm editing and I just realized I forgot to mention something. Like, Shaina kept saying that it was because Kyle was an atheist, this and that. But she still went ahead to confess strong feelings for Shayne, but we never even found out on the show if he was a Christian, or even after the show. Till today, we still don't know if Shayne is or was a Christian at any point in time. So wouldn't that still be a deal breaker even if she went ahead with Shayne? So I don't understand. Like, it just points out that like her motives, whatever she's saying, was not making sense. Because if it was that important, her and Shayne would have had that conversation rather than what are you wearing? Just saying. Right? I feel like this is something that she could have said sooner, earlier, and she was like, oh, it was just part of my process. What sort of backwards process is that? What kind of process? And I understand Kyle's frustration, because I'm just like, I'm not going to go. He was like, I'm not going to go after being engaged to you and start talking to somebody else about my feelings. Like, what is that? What kind of behavior is that? And then the way she even does it. Then let's even talk about the fact that Shayne never has this conversation with Natalie about the about Shaina expressing feelings for him. And in the other video we recorded, my friend was, because I recorded with my friend first, and she was like, well, not at the proposal though. And I was like, yes, not at the proposal, but I feel like they could have had one more interaction before he had proposed to her, or he could have addressed, like I said from the beginning, he could have addressed the fact that he had feelings for both of them from the beginning of this show, or from whenever he started having feelings for both of them. And just the idea that he kept saying, oh, Natalie, you're my number one, there's a heart beside your name. I'm like, shut up.
But
no. But why not be honest about like how you feel? Because I think he wasn't upfront with them that, okay, I've made connections with you both. Like he wasn't honest with them. He just kept saying, Natalie, you're my number one, I have a heart beside your name, and then so it's not doing anything for anybody. Just shut up. Like, what was the reason? It was just so annoying to me, like, because you don't say you're my number one and then continue exploring connections with somebody else. Like, I just don't think that that's fair, especially when they don't know about it. You make them look all kinds of stupid. That's not fair. One more thing I wanted to mention about Shayna was the fact that she even went home to her family with Kyle. And when she went home to her family with Kyle, her mom was like, I can't give my blessing. And it was after then that she's like, oh, yeah, you know, after my mom said I couldn't go ahead with it. And I'm like, but you knew from the beginning. I just wanted to state that because I feel like she was just constantly going back and forth, and it was just annoying. Because at first, in the beginning of the show, I admired that, okay, this person has been engaged before, cool, she's been hurt before, she knows exactly what she wants, she's not going to go into another engagement with her. And now she went into another engagement that did not work out, and it was just crazy. Now, since we are moving on from Shayna, Kyle, all that stuff, Kyle now goes ahead to say that he should have proposed to Deepti instead, which I was like, oh my god, the way he was smiling. I was like, can a man smile at me like that? Because I will lose my senses. Do you see the vein on his head was popping, throbbing because he was smiling so much. Did you oh god, I see what you're doing for people. But yeah, I think that was so cute. Do I think the timing was a little bit misplaced? Maybe. But I guess he didn't really care about Shayna's feelings at that point, and he was just like, I'm done now, chill, bro. I'm just gonna say what I want to say. Yeah, so I think he was just like, I'm done. I'm gonna say how I feel about this girl right now, and that's your business. Yeah, and then when he says that, Shake is now like, oh, you know, I'm cool with that, bro. So I'm like, nobody asked you. That boy, that man-child boy irritated my spirit in the show. He irritated me so much. He just kept butting into conversations that were not his, butting into situations that he didn't have anything to say about. Like, it was just so annoying. Oh my god. Anyways, let's move on from that. I don't want to address him too much. I'll address him a little more later. Yeah, so now let's talk about Ayana and Jarette and Mallory. Yeah, let's talk about that situation. So Ayana and Jarette, I felt like they were the cutest couple on the show. I felt like they looked like the ones that were giving me hope, and they were going to end up together, and they lasted and everything, which was great. Like, I love that about them. And they did end up together, they did end up married, which lovely. But I just felt like I understood Ayana's hesitations, like with the proposal and everything, just because obviously like I said, it's a hard situation to be in. But I feel like with the way Jarette handled the situation, it was a little more manageable, right? Like, obviously when you watch I was just thinking about Ayana and how she would have felt watching the clip back where Mallory said no and he was like bawling his eyes out, and I was just thinking about how she would have felt about that, because it looked like he was so pained over that, and like he wasn't going to be able to recover from that, and then he's coming back to propose like to Ayana. So I'm just like okay, like, but then again, like I said, the show is a difficult situation, but I feel like he handled it the best way that he could. Now, where I have a problem is at the honeymoon in Mexico, where him and what's her name, Mallory, were having a conversation, which I feel like they did need to have a conversation. But that conversation did not need to go on that long. That conversation did not need to go on that long. And as I was watching it, I was like, this girl does not sound all right. Like, she sounded tipsy to me. I was talking to a friend of mine and she was like, yeah, I think that's an excuse that she was giving. But then I was like, no, I feel like she sounded kind of waved already. So yeah, I just felt like there was so many statements that were said, especially from Jarette's point of view, the thing about the ring, that I was just like, you didn't have to say that. Because again, I was looking at the show and I was like, okay, how many girls on the show actually got, like, had a conversation with the guy about the ring and got the ring that they wanted? And this is aside, I'm just going off what they showed us. I'm guessing that there might have been things that were deleted that we didn't see, but I'm just going off what they showed us. It didn't seem like anybody had the conversation about rings or about the choice of the ring that they wanted, because first of all, Shayna got Kyle's mother's ring, so there was no choice there, and it was even too big for her. He's kind of singled it out like Mallory was the only one that didn't get what she wanted, and I was just like, I don't know about that. I don't think she's the only one that, like, didn't get what she wanted, first of all. Second of all, conversations about rings, I'm just like, I don't know how it happens. Maybe when I get there, I will know, but I don't know how these things happen. I hope you guys get what I'm trying to say about the whole ring thing. But yeah, and Jarette also addressed the ring thing, like, he was like, oh, it was a joke, and then I'm like, maybe not a joke, because I don't think it was a joke. I think it was a misplaced comment, but I don't think it was a joke. I don't know if that makes sense. Because when Sal was trying to address it with him, he was like, I mean, I would have liked to know, because when they first had the conversation, because Sal and Jarette had a conversation about it, I think, before the reunion, and when they had a conversation about it, he was just like, oh no, it was just a joke, and I wouldn't classify that as a joke, I'm not even gonna lie. So I felt like it was a bit immature of him to bring that up in their conversation. And again, Mallory, like, I don't know, something was going on. It feels like something was going on with her that day or something. And yeah, I mean, when they explained it on the reunion, they said that it was like the first time we see each other, everything, which I'm like, okay, fair enough. But again, conversation did not need to go on that long, but it is what it is. Oh, also, I almost forgot. She was saying something about sports guys and how sports guys would not, like, treat her right, but then, like, the emotional guys were not into sports, because I guess her and Jarette had a conversation in the pause about her being into sports and stuff like that, and then he was like, I would have did that. And I'm like, that didn't need to be said either, because now you have someone, so you don't need to be reassuring someone else's fiance that you would have done that if she had chosen you. Like, and I get that it's human of us to be like, hey, look at what you're missing out on, but then no, I didn't think he needed to say that. I felt like that was not cool either. And I feel like it was kind of unfair of Mallory to even bring up, again, I still think that she was actually tipsy, but I think it was unfair of her to bring up, like, oh, you know, with sweet guys, this is like, she didn't need to be having that conversation with Jarette, of all people. She did not need to do that. I just feel like she didn't need to do that. Now, Mallory and Salvador, listen, they were pulling at my heartstrings throughout the whole show. I was saying, God, when? Am I not your child? God, when? But then, even when Sal said no, I was kind of shocked, but then I was like, okay, they'll probably work things out, like, after the show or whatnot. Like, they'll probably end up together, but at their own pace. But then, at the reunion, it was just like, it's like nobody had anything to say. They're just like, yeah. And Sal was just like, yeah, you know, I always felt unheard in our conversations and everything. I'm like, okay. Like, I would have liked to know more, but at the end of the day, they're human beings and they have a right to their own privacy, right? So if they decide not to talk about it, that's fine. But like the host said, it just seemed like they always had so much more going on than we were aware of, and it would have just been nice, I guess, to get some sort of closure. It was just so awkward. It was so awkward. And again, I always felt like during the show, Salvador had more feelings, or like was more expressive towards Mallory than she was to him. And I was like, okay, yeah, maybe they need to give it time, maybe like something will happen eventually and she would like return that same energy and everything. But I guess we just never saw that happening. And after the wedding, it seemed like they were going to explore their relationship, and from the reunion it seemed like they kind of did. But yeah, it was just awkward, and it was just, I don't know. And I also said before that I felt weird about the way Salvador was like, I'm still talking, when she kind of almost interrupted him. And I just felt like it just hit me a little bit like, you were all sweet. Now like you guys have kind of fallen out and you're like, hold on, I'm still talking. Like, I don't know. I know that like as humans we have our limits, right? So I don't want to judge him too harshly. And I feel like also it's just that part of being a sensitive person where, or like an emotionally expressive person, where you feel like you've expressed so much and someone is taking you for granted, so you then go to the opposite end of, okay, I don't want anyone to take me for granted, so you become a little bit like, just a little, but a little feisty, or a little like, just a little passive aggressive to protect yourself. So maybe that was what was going on, but I was just like, yeah. And then this idiot, I tried my best to refrain from calling him an idiot, but this Shayne now came and said that, oh, how about your ex-girlfriend? I'm like, what is your business? I mean, some of us were thinking, you know, about the whole thing, about their situation regarding that, but what's his business really, like bringing that up at that moment? And everybody just got so irritated with Shayne at that point in time. So now they now said, okay, let's face Shayne and your situation. So let me get into that real quick. Okay, so Deepti and Shayne. Deepti, I felt so bad for her because I just felt like throughout the whole show, Shayne kept talking to people about how he didn't feel a connection with her, like physical connection. There was no animalistic attraction. Blah, 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 blah. She looks like my aunt. I feel like I'm hanging out with a family member. I'm like, oh God. It's so irritating. He irritates me so much. I'm like, shut up, first of all. And I was worried because I was like, if she sees these clips from like the show and how he talked to the guys about him not feeling a physical attraction and they didn't tell her, like she'd probably be pissed at them. But then it's not even in their place to tell her. I feel like it's her partner's responsibility to let her know, like, okay. And he could have been respectful about it. I think that's the worst thing. Like, he just kept saying rude things. He could have been so respectful about it and be like, okay, I don't feel a physical attraction to you. How can we work this out? Or like, at least just let her know. Like, it's a hard conversation to have, but that's what adulting is. Like, that's part of being an adult, right? Just be like, okay, this is really how I feel. I feel like we have that emotional connection, but I just feel like, you know, this and that. Now, let me get to that emotional connection thing that they were talking about throughout the whole show. I felt like with Deepti and Shayne, they bonded. I'm not trying to be troublesome or start anything, but I feel like they were kind of clouded by their cultural similarities, and I feel like that's the only thing, and that's one of the things that like brought them together and strengthened the emotional connection that they had, or they thought they had. I wasn't seeing it. I guess I was seeing it a little bit from Deepti to Shayne, but from Shayne to Deepti, every time he said, oh, I feel that emotional connection, I'm just like, shut up. I just felt like he was lying. I just feel like he was lying through the gap in his face. Why did I say through the gap in his face? But I just felt like he was lying. Like, I felt like he was trying to make himself believe the words that he was saying about their emotional connection. Another thing that didn't make sense to me, how do you meet someone and press their bum bum like it's bread in Safeway, and you tell me that you're not attracted to them after a while? Like, what does that mean? Like, he was so excited to meet her the first time they met. I'm like, is it the lights in the studio, in the pod place that deceived you, or like, is it that you were just excited to see her for the first time and you lost your mind? Because it seemed like he was so into her the first time he saw her. I mean, I was a bit uncomfortable with like watching it, not even going to lie, because I was just like, what's all this? But anyways, I just didn't feel like even him being all up on her was genuine either. Like I just wasn't buying whatever Shake was trying to sell from the beginning of the show till the end of the show. Maybe I bought what he was saying at the reunion because I'm like, this is your true self that you're displaying now. And yeah, but God, he just annoyed me so much. He kept interrupting everybody else, even Shayne. For Shayne to be annoyed at you, in fact for Shaina too to be annoyed at you, there's something wrong. There's something wrong, because I just didn't, I use those two characters because those are my least favorite people apart from Shake. So I'm just putting them in ranking. It goes Shayne, Shaina, and then Shake. 3 of them, my worst characters on the reunion, this thing. And then, oh my God, you see Vanessa? Vanessa said, I do not have time for your BS, bruv. I'm gonna call you out. Listen, I have things to say. You're gonna hear me or not? Yeah, so she went in on him. And a lot of people, I think I went on his page, on Shake's page, and a lot of people were like supporting him and things, were like saying, I'm just like, why are you supporting this man? Why are you supporting this narcissist? What's that about? Like, she went in on him, Sha, but everything she said, like, I was just, the whole time, like, yes, call him out, because I need that. Call him out, because I feel like he had no reason to be talking about people like that, like, oh, can you get up on my shoulders? Oh, would you have trouble doing that? I like people that work out. Like, I'm just imagining, like, if the person that was on the other side of that wall was in a wheelchair, not ask her, will you have problem getting up on my shoulder? Say, yes, I will. So, like, oh God, he just irritated me. He just really irritated me. And even knowing, like Deepti said, knowing that her family was going to watch the show and everything, and things that he was saying about their daughter, their sister, I was just like, yeah, a bottom barrel human. Let's not even talk about that wedding episode where he was like, if he had said yes, she would have said yes. I'm like, bro, you don't know that. You do not know that, because the way I saw that girl when she was like, oh yeah, at the end of the day it's a celebration of love, I said this girl's gonna say no. I knew from that moment in the morning when she was dressing up that she was gonna say no. I was not even surprised. I was not in the least bit surprised, but I just loved that I could see that, okay, so she wasn't blind or oblivious to how he wasn't super into her. And let's talk about Shake's mama. Shake's mama said, I stand with her more than I stand with you. She does not deserve anybody that will give her even 1% less. I said, that's our mama right there. No, honestly, like, I know I've gone long talking about this man, but he just irritates me. He just gives me, let me not say this for my Nigerian brothers who attack me, but like, he just gives me entitled, misogynist, narcissist vibes. Like, just disgusting. You know, you wonder how people like that have friends. Yeah. Last thing, I don't want to dwell on this too long because it doesn't even matter that much, but let's talk about Nick. Nick also had some toxic traits, like Nick and Danielle, basically. Nick had some toxic traits in the sense that Nick, let me just take a minute. So, I needed to gather my thoughts a little bit. At the honeymoon, was it the honeymoon? Yes, at the honeymoon, at the beach get together that they had as well, there were some things that Nick was saying that I'm like, what's your business? I remember when he was asking, he was asking Natalie, he asked Natalie, what do you and Shayne talk about late into the night or something like that? And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, what's your business? How's that your problem? Did somebody come and ask you a question like that? No. And then he was like, oh, the way Natalie looked at me, oh my gosh, she's so insecure. Oh my gosh, she's so like this and that. And then he was really talking to Shayna, egging her on. I think he was egging Shayna on to talk to Shayne and that they need to have a conversation, which is fine. Okay, yes, they need to have a conversation. But it was the way he was berating Natalie's character. And I'm just like, there's no need for that. There's no need for all that. And also at the honeymoon thing I was talking about, like, I feel like he was also trying to start something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember thinking, man, this man is bored. because Danielle is not here, so he's just looking for trouble here and there. So I feel like he also had some toxic traits that I feel like were not addressed at all, like trying to, just seemed like he was trying to start drama. And I felt like, I don't know why he wouldn't like Natalie, or he wouldn't like he would think that, oh, she's being so protective. Oh my god, yes, she's being protective. Did you come to the beach get together and tell them that you and Danielle had been fighting the whole time? No. You did not tell them that, did you? No, you did not tell them. So it's just like, I was just like, just get away from here, man. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for today's video. I feel like I addressed everybody and everything I wanted to address. Like, it would have been so much better to actually just show you guys the reaction video that I did, but YouTube copyright claims and things, like, I didn't even know how I thought I was going to do that. Anyways, if you disagree with something I said, if you want to have a conversation, if you want to just like say something that I missed or anything like that, like, you can leave it in the comments down below. But again, remember to be respectful and don't come at me with negative energy. If you come at me with negative energy, I'll just sweep you away like you don't exist, right? So just be respectful and we can have conversations and we can talk about things. Yeah, so I will see you guys in my next video. Please don't forget to subscribe, hit the subscribe button down below somewhere, and like this video if you liked it. And again, like I said, let's have a conversation in the comments if there's anything you want to address, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.